This last month has been stressful for a lot of us, so let's unwind with something fun and fancy-free.
Some folks don't believe in giants, castles up above, and others say that bears don't talk and never fall in love.
Fun and Fancy-Free was Disney's fourth package film from the 1940s, a movie consisting of two cartoons that did not have the length to be standalone features. These sorts of works were actually common for the time period because most of Disney's focus and money were on the production of American propaganda during the Second World War. The movie's cartoons are entitled Bongo and Mickey and the Beanstalk respectively. The first one was based on Little Bear Bongo, a short story by Sinclair Lewis. The second one was more of a vehicle for the Mickey Mouse character, since at the time he was being overshadowed by characters like Donald and Goofy. Overall, Fun and Fancy-Free received mildly favorable reviews during its release in 1947. Now let's see if it still holds up today. Now, unlike The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, this movie doesn't have a framing device that binds the two cartoons together. Not quite anyway. We have two different hosts in its stead. And our first host is...
Simple as the ABCs and hardly seems worth giving. I've tried it out in every way. It always sees me through. It's made me what I am today. That's why I'm telling you.
That's right, Jiminy Cricket. By this point, he became an icon for the studio, and he has been making appearances in other media ever since. Back on topic, our cricket friend finds himself inside of a house with some sad-looking toys. After fiddling with them a little, he then realizes that they need something fun and fancy-free.
Bongo? Now, what in the world is Bongo? Oh, a musical story sung by Dinah Shore.
I don't need to add anything here. He's doing all the explaining for me. Anyway, now we have Dinah Shore tell us a story about a circus bear named Bongo. He's a superstar performer under the big top. Everybody loves him, but behind the scenes...
Poor Bongo. Naturally, you'd think he'd be handled with kid gloves, treated like a king, and pampered like a baby. But no! He was tossed around like an old shoe.
As one would expect of the circus. Maybe he should hang with Dumbo instead. I mean, they did consider making this a sequel to that movie. So yeah, Bongo longs for the great outdoors, and while he's riding along in the forest, his inner voice keeps telling him to come out and answer the call of nature. It takes a couple attempts to escape, but his persistence pays off, and now he's free to roam the land.
At last he was free. Free. Free?
Free?
This was even better than he'd expected. Oh boy, thought Bongo, this is living.
Not long after, though, Bongo realizes that he doesn't know how to be a bear. He can't even climb trees, and the other animals pick on him for that reason. Still, he finds the time to relax and enjoy some peaceful melodies from the narrator.
To hang around the lazy countryside,
where things are nice and breezy,
with nature's gang around.
And the other animals come around, and everything's fine. At least until nightfall. To be fair to Bongo, the weather forecast didn't say anything about a thunderstorm after a clear day. So now we see him stumble around, getting discouraged over how rough life is for a wild animal. And yet the whole thing feels endearing, even if things feel a little slow. Things pick up again when he meets...
I'm either hungry or I'm still dreaming.
Over-sexualized bear! Wait, what? Oh, I hope they're just really short bears then. And as you would expect from Disney in the Boomer era, they both fall in love rather quickly.
Good to be true. I can't believe it's real. Can it be you? I really see.
But now for some real fun, courtesy of this mean-looking bastard named Lumpjaw. He's jealous that a small bear is hitting on, another small bear.
Well, what's this? It's no dream. It's a nightmare. Hello?
Aren't you supposed to be as strong as a bull? Or was that all a lie? Well, regardless, Bongo gets slapped around by Lumpjaw. The female bear, Lulubelle, steps in to save Bongo, only she ends up slapping him. Bongo obviously doesn't understand what the hell just happened. Given her gestures, we kinda do, but he thinks it's rejection, so he leaves. And we get a sad song sequence.
All of these things that really mattered. And now, well, now it was just too late.
Then we immediately follow up with another song that explains everything.
When a bird loves a bird, he can flitter. When a puppy falls in love, he can yap. Every pigeon likes to coo when he says, I love you, but a bear likes to say it with a slap.
I hear this is how the demons of Slightly Damned like to do it. Bongo sees Lulubelle avoiding Lumpjaw's advances, and he finally understands that she only slapped him because she likes him. So he fights back against Lumpjaw with a bit of help from his unicycle. Of course, we get a little tension when the two bears seem to go over a waterfall. But Bongo manages to come out okay, and he now gets to be with his one true love.
Good to be true.
So, not a bad segment. A little long, but enjoyable. I'm sure some will enjoy it more than others, but now it's time to talk about the real reason I'm reviewing this. Jiminy finds an invitation to a birthday party for child actress Luana Patton. What follows then depends on what version of this cartoon you saw, because Mickey and the Beanstalk had multiple versions. The release for the 1963 anthology series, as well as the 80s and 90s mini classics release, has Ludwig von Drake as the host and narrator. Sterling Holloway served the same role for the 1955 release, and so on. But for the fun and fancy-free iteration, allow me to introduce you to the one and only Edgar Bergen.
I thought you were a little bit older than that.
Well, I knocked off a few years for good behavior. I don't care for that. It's kid stuff.
Well, we're awfully glad you came to our party.
Well,
Did you have fun?
oh, yes, indeedy. I thought Charlie made a pig of himself with that chocolate cake.
Oh, you're quite right.
Yeah, Edgar was a comedian who was most known for his ventriloquist act, which utilized two puppets named Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snurd. He was apparently an inspiration to Jim Henson, and just from this sequence alone, I can see why.
I don't know,
Good night, Charlie.
Good night.
You know, Ophelia, you look so sweet.
What'd you say?
I say, I think you look so sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to kiss you goodnight.
Oh, help, 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 help.
Edgar begins telling Luana the story while Jiminy Cricket just hangs out by some cake. The Mortimer puppet then asks the girl to imagine what Happy Valley might look like, since he's too stupid to do so.
Lush fields and prosperous farms dot the landscape.
landscape.
And high on a hilltop overlooking the valley, shining like a jewel, stands my red barn. No, it was something much nicer. It was a majestic castle.
Personally, I like it. And of course, for one comparison to the Ludwig version, as this is all I can get online, the latter didn't have the same comedic timing as the Edgar version, since Ludwig's co-star, Herman, didn't talk that much during the story bits, so some of Ludwig's jokes feel a bit flat.
High on the hill overlooking the valley, there stood a big red barn. No, what am I saying? I mean, there was a big castle.
Getting back on topic, we learn that this valley has a special treasure, a magic singing harp voiced by Anita Gordon.
Hey, what a sunny sky, kinda makes you sigh in a happy way. What a very merry day, all the world is gay.
Look, it's the 1940s. If we stop and point out everything that's dated about this movie, we'd be here all day. So all is sunshine and rainbows in this happy valley, until...
They built a schoolhouse. No. One day a mysterious shadow crept over the valley, and then something dreadful happened.
And since the valley depends on her magic spell to keep things lush and beautiful, everything is now either withering or dying. Now all that's left are 3 Disney characters who are crazy enough to stay. There's Donald, Goofy, and Mickey, voiced by Walt Disney for the very last time. They have to share super thin slices of bread and a singular bean. And to no one's surprise, Donald goes stir crazy over this.
Shut up! I can't stand it!
It's always fun seeing how they animate Donald in these older cartoons. Especially since now he's thinking of murdering Mickey, the cow outside. Though he might have had the right idea, considering what's about to happen later. Right now, Mickey takes out the cow to sell it while his friends are singing.
Hey, look! Turkey, lobster, sweet potato pie, pancakes piled up till they reach the sky. Oh, I want to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat until I die.
I really have to wonder how much that cow's going to even fetch. It's not even producing milk at this point. Well, I guess the buyer must have thought the same, since we later see Mickey coming back to tell everyone that he sold the cow for magic beans.
If you plant these beans in the light of a full moon, you know what'll happen?
Yes, we'll get more beans!
Oh no, Donald!
That's what friends! For
Poor Mickey. Cheated into trading his cow for a handful of beans.
Yeah, but he really should have expected as much when dealing with Honest John. Seriously, they considered bringing him into this movie. Anyway, since the beans landed underneath the house and find some moonlight in the evening, guess what happens next? Love how these older cartoons sync up their animations with their background music. It feels so majestic and fulfilling, and it made me forget how our characters should have been falling to their deaths as the beanstalk grows.
And all through the night it grew, onward and upward.
That thing is a menace to aviation.
So when Goofy, Donald, and Mickey wake up, They find themselves in some vibrant land that exists above the clouds. While not too bothered by the enlarged brush and bug life, they do eventually run into trouble with some nasty bugs.
Gee, what flop?
I did say this movie saw a release just after World War II, right? Well, they eventually reach the castle, but a new challenge awaits.
Stairs.
They are finally inside the castle, and their fears and doubts dissipate once they see all kinds of food up on that table. They start to dig in, only to be interrupted by the harp, who explains her situation.
By that wicked giant.
Oh, a giant.
Oh, joy.
A giant?
A giant.
Bigger than 40 men.
Oh, no.
An ogre who had the power to turn himself into anything, man or beast.
That calls for a drink.
One break of comedy later, we finally see what this wicked giant looks like.
Fee-fi-fo-fum. Fee-fi-fo-fum. Hee-hi-ho-hum. I'm a most amazing guy. A most amazing guy am I.
I don't know. This giant seems more the bumbling and misunderstood sort. Hell, even the fairy tale wasn't too sure what to make of the giant character. Sometimes he's the villain, and other times he's more like a neutral character who's responding to someone stealing his stuff. We don't know for certain here, since we never got his motivation behind stealing the harp.
Pot roast. Chocolate pot roast. With pistachio, with green gravy.
Either way, the giant, named Willie, manages to find Mickey while his friends went into hiding. Our hero then takes advantage of the giant's childlike demeanor by asking Willie to turn into a fly. The giant is reluctant, but he goes ahead while our heroes prepare to murder him.
Hee-hi-ho-hum. I'm a most amazing guy. Tee-tie, tee-tie, tee-tie. You sure you don't want a pink bunny? Hey, what is this? You think you fool, Willie?
Wah, wah. Fortunately, Mickey evades capture when Willie isn't looking. He then sneaks into the giant's pockets so he can grab the key and free everyone. With the harp's help, of course.
Oh!
Our heroes then start to flee, but not before Mickey tries to tie the giant's shoes together.
In case the giant might wake up.
Oh!
Should have let well enough alone.
Come back here! Come back here!
This chase is quite awesome. And once again, the music does wonders with its timing. Donald and Goofy managed to get down the Beanstalk, even though they were carrying the harp, and Mickey was going faster than them. They start to chop the thing down. Mickey's gotta hurry.
And there goes the giant. He's helpless now, tumbling over and over and over. Down and down and down and down.
And then Happy Valley was turned upside down given the shock and impact of the giant crashing into the earth below. And it took 100 years for everyone to clean up all the blood and guts that came from such a landing. Nah, somehow the land got better, and Mortimer is sad because the giant died.
Daddy did. I don't like them sad endings.
Oh, and now you don't understand.
Willie was a nice giant, he was. He just got too big for his britches.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway, that's fun and fancy-free. Obviously, I would have preferred if Bongo was separate from Mickey and the Beanstalk, but the package film is still pretty enjoyable even after all this time. The weaker parts of this production obviously came from the way it tried to piece these two different works. Jiminy Cricket sadly felt more like an accessory in the second half of the movie, like he's merely reacting towards someone else telling the next story. Edgar Bergen was pretty enjoyable, though not all of the commentary worked, even if more of his jokes landed for me. But what keeps the whole thing afloat is in the strength of the two cartoons themselves. They may not be the best shorts in the Disney collection, but they are fun, enjoyable, and even magical at certain spots. Check them out. Oh, and there was one other thing that happened at the very end of Fun and Fancy Free, but it's not important. So, tune in next time for...
Hey, has anybody seen anything of a teensy-weensy little mouse?
Oh no.
What's the matter with him? Something he ate? No.
Now some folks don't believe in giants, castles up above, and others say that bears don't talk and never fall in love. If you really want to find happiness, peace of mind, believe in all your dreams and you will see. You'll be full of fun and fancy, free and full of fun.